Hello, I'm Jeff Prudence. We're here today at the prestigious M Restaurant in the heart of the City of London for another of This Week in FM Spotlight interviews. It's my great pleasure to welcome today Peter Crabtree from Europcar Mobility Group UK. Welcome, Peter.
Morning, Jeff. Thank you.
Peter, just to start off, I understand you worked in the fleet industry for over 20 years and you're currently Sales Director of Europcar Mobility Group UK. Can you just start off by telling us a little bit about your career and background and experience in this sector?
Yeah, sure, Jeff. I started working with Bank of Scotland, initially in the asset finance sector, then I moved into the vehicle leasing sector, and then just under 3 years ago I joined Europcar Mobility Group to support our growth aspirations in moving into broader mobility solutions rather than what had traditionally been core rental.
Okay. Obviously, people who have heard of the brand, Europcar, they may have a personal perspective from using the service, but what people may be less aware of is the mobility group's focus in how you can help business. Yep. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So we've been on a journey changing direction slightly from being a one product company essentially around core car and van rental. We're a listed business on the French stock market. We need to deliver shareholder value, but what we also need to do is offer broader solutions to our customers to try and meet more of their needs. We're living in real times of change, and we believe that we're well positioned to help support customers on that journey.
Okay, thank you. And how much have you found that the fleet sector is actually changing as a business?
Hugely. I think I've been in the industry for 25, 30 years, and I think it's fair to say that we'll probably never work through such levels of change for a number of reasons. Firstly, we've got significant economic uncertainty. Whilst we've finally got through Brexit, that's been a real challenge for many companies. We have big changes around vehicle technology. We have transient workforces. We have changes in vehicle taxation classification, etc., etc. So working with customers to try and navigate that path from a fleet policy point of view is very, very difficult.
Okay, and you mentioned fleet, and obviously people have heard of the term fleet managers, but how's their role and some of the challenges that are affecting them currently and going forward?
Yeah, it has to change, Jeff, because historically a company car policy would have gravitated around every company car being on a 3 or 4 year fixed term lease, with vans potentially on a 5 or 6 year fixed term lease. And what we're seeing now, because of the changes in the economy, changes in vehicle technology, that one size fits all approach is probably less relevant, and therefore it's important that an effective fleet manager understands the broad needs of the business and then some sources solutions to meet those individual requirements rather than an all embracing solution. And we're getting involved in helping our customers on that journey to try and put together a combination of solutions, the sum of all of which is far more effective in terms of coping with the challenges that we're facing.
In terms of environmental pressures, obviously lots in the industry, particularly in the fleet areas, around carbon reduction plans. So what is Europcar doing about that to help businesses?
It's an increasingly important agenda item for most medium to large corporates. Many of them are working towards a sustainability agenda, part of their corporate social responsibility agenda. What we're working on is trying to make sure that we're supporting them by buying the right vehicles with the lowest CO2 emissions. We have the youngest fleet in the whole of the rental market, and by that means that we're buying more vehicles more frequently and we can have access to the more modern technology more frequently. As a business, we've got to lead from the front and lead by example. So we've gone out to the market with a statement that at least 5% of our total fleet will have some form of electrification by the end of 2020. So we need to lead this charge, if that's the right phrase, to help our customers support their own initiatives.
Okay, I might come back to that point later in terms of where you see things going for the future. So obviously you yourself and your position within the business, how do you see the continuing change affecting fleet managers in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, not going to slow down, that's for sure. And if anything, I think the speed of change will continue to speed up. We're now seeing an increasing move to electric cars. It's been talked about a lot in recent years, but the take-up rate's been fairly slow. That's now gaining momentum. We're seeing significant investment in infrastructure, which supports the rollout of EVs. From a company point of view, the concept is great because it ticks the box from a carbon carbon reduction point of view, but they've got a business to run. So is it an efficient form of transport from a range point of view? If you have a van and you put any equipment in it, it drags down the range quite significantly. So the concept is great, but the practicality for businesses, there's a lot of work to be overcome, but I think we're getting real momentum on that, and we're helping our customers with some electric vehicle demos. And so again, we're playing our part to educate people and overcome some of the concerns that people have in adopting this technology.
So, like with all the other things that business and support services are all grappling with at the moment, some of the things you touched on there, going forward there'll be challenges, but they could also drive opportunities. Can you give us your views on what some of those?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the fact is that people need to change. I think if people stick with where they are in terms of with respect old-fashioned fleet policies, that they're going to be left behind in terms of cost inefficiencies, not aligned with the CO2 agenda of the company itself. So we need to help these people embrace the future. Fleet managers are now mobility managers more and more, and I think it's this whole concept around looking at a combination of solutions that fix the cost benefit, fix the efficiency drive, and are aligned with the sustainability agenda of the company itself. And those are the pieces where we need to try and help our customers put that jigsaw puzzle together in the most effective way.
Okay. We call it a spotlight interview, so just putting the spotlight on you. What would you like to see change?
I think it's interesting because the government have penalised people who need a company car to do their job, and the benefit in kind tax framework has become more and more penal. There's now an angle where you can reduce your tax benefit by going electric, so I think it's bringing more people back into company cars, but I suspect that window will close at some point because the government are losing tax take at the end of the day. You've seen more people move away from a company car and take cash, but that then creates grey fleet risk. That's something else for a business to manage. So I think there's an issue there as well, but I think government giving more clarity for a longer period have got a big part to play. But I think also organisations recognising that they need to look at these things differently to have a robust and fit-for-purpose fleet policy that's appropriate for where we are now in these uncertain times.
Okay, thank you. I said I'd come back to sort of the environmental and the technology bit. So just a reflective point on that. Do you see the progression to all electric or other technologies in the next 10 to 20 years a reality or more of a challenge?
I think it's certainly going to be a challenge. I think a lot of companies are buying into this idea now, and there's more and more of the large corporations. Mighty have come out this week and announced their plan by 2025 to be all electric. So there's some of these organisations are really focusing on this as a key agenda item. So the concept is becoming reality, but it's the practicality alongside it as well. The continued investment in infrastructure to support the EV vision is really, really important. But as long as government are supporting that initiative, I think you'll see an increased transition across to EVs in the coming years.
Like all businesses going forward, key to their plans, can you tell us a bit more about how you're building in customer services and the experience into your business?
Yeah, sure. A key area, continued investment in the use of technology to enhance the customer experience. Making our products more accessible through the use of technology is an important part of what we're investing in. Alongside the core product itself, it's making the products more accessible and making them easier to use from a customer point of view through increasing deployment of technology.
So Peter, can you tell us what's in the pipeline going forward for Europcar Mobility Group?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and we're in an exciting place because we've got a big part to play in helping customers along this journey. We've invested heavily in ride-hailing businesses, car club businesses. We're investing heavily in our van business, where again, often people win a contract and they need to go and buy a van to support the contract, but they might want flexibility in doing that as well. So we're investing heavily in our overall product proposition, where we can add more value to our customers and support customers on this mobility journey in the coming years. So I think we're well placed to help our customers.
That's very interesting. So, just to summarise, we've had an in-depth conversation around Peter's experience, some of the sector challenges, the role that people maybe have heard of fleet managers, and indeed the fleet organisation that really is a key area to enable businesses going forward. Some of the changes, the environmental to technology, and Peter's obviously given us a view of his pipeline, the way he sees things in the future. So if you need to find out more, obviously from Europcar through ThisWeekinFM, there's lots of future interest ideas that are going to be out on the website and things. But for now, thank you very much, Peter.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Thank you.